On the ancient land of Greece stood a powerful and majestic kingdom, Sparta. Its ruler, King Menelaus, was known far and wide for his bravery, intelligence, and honor. But more than the king himself, the true identity of Sparta was shaped by his queen, Helen. Helen's beauty was said to be beyond words. Her skin fair as milk, her eyes deep blue like the ocean, and her face filled with an innocence so serene it could silence the world. In all of Greece, her beauty was a subject of fascination. People would whisper, "She is not just beautiful, she is a living dream." Helen and Menelaus appeared to live a peaceful and blessed life in the royal palaces of Sparta, surrounded by lush gardens and grand feasts where Helen's presence would become the center of every eye. But time does not remain the same. Far from Sparta stood another kingdom, Troy, proud and fortified. Its ruler, King Priam, was a wise monarch ruling with strength and structure. His son, Prince Paris, was a handsome, well-educated and refined young man, a skilled diplomat and a lover of poetry and the arts. One day, Paris visited Sparta on a political mission. King Menelaus welcomed him with royal hospitality, hosting lavish gatherings and engaging in deep conversations. And then it happened. Paris laid eyes on Helen for the first time. He couldn't look away. And Helen, she too couldn't resist the prince's charm, eloquence, and gentleness. Something unspoken passed between them, a connection beyond words. Soon after, Menelaus had to leave for a military campaign. In his absence, Paris saw his opportunity. He confessed his feelings to Helen. At first, she remained silent, but silence can often say more than words. When Menelaus returned, he found the palace empty of warmth, and he understood everything. The woman he had loved, trusted, and honored was gone. His pride, his reputation, his home shattered in an instant. But Menelaus was no ordinary man. He rose above his pain. He rallied all the kings and generals of Greece. Together, they launched a massive campaign toward Troy. Meanwhile, Helen now lived in the royal palace of Troy, staring out of the window at the sea. She knew peace would never return, but there was no turning back. She had made her choice, and now she would have to pay the price. Far away, in another time and world, a learned man, Dr. Faustus, envisioned her image and softly whispered, "Was this the face that launched 1,000 ships and burned the topless towers of Ilium? Is this the woman for whom fleets of ships had sailed? Is this the face that would bring a great city to ruin?" Outside, Troy war drums echoed. Thousands of soldiers and weapons surrounded the walls. But Troy was no fragile city. It was mighty, fortified with towering walls. Day after day, Menelaus held war councils. Night after night, only one thought echoed in his heart: to bring Helen back, to restore his honor. Among the Greek warriors was their fiercest, Achilles, a fearless fighter believed to be invincible. He wasn't driven by orders or politics, but by vengeance. Achilles had sworn to avenge the death of his dear friend Patroclus, and Patroclus was slain by none other than Hector, the noble elder brother of Paris. Hector was a man of principle, brave, compassionate, and duty-bound. Even in war, he upheld honor. But now, all that remained between the two sides was hate. Achilles finally faced Hector. Troy's walls trembled as its prince fell. The palace of Priam fell into mourning. Sisters wailed, mothers cried, and the old king watched with teary eyes. Helen stood alone, neither joy nor sorrow on her face, only emptiness. She felt guilty, yet she couldn't cry. Maybe that's the cruelest punishment. To be helpless, yet witness everything falling apart. Paris tried to comfort Helen every day, but within him too a restlessness was growing. He now saw less of love and more of the shadows of war. Years passed. The Greeks grew weary. Rain, disease, and winters tested their strength. But Troy still stood, and Helen remained in the palace with Paris. Her beauty, once radiant, was now shadowed by grief. Paris's hair had begun to turn grey, and Menelaus still held his sword, waiting. Finally one day, Paris himself went to the battlefield. He wanted to fight like his brother Hector, but fate struck. An arrow shot by Odysseus pierced him. Paris fell. Helen rushed to him, cradled his head in her lap, but it was too late. Paris was gone. Her eyes were hollow, no tears, no words, only silence, as if something inside her had died forever. In another world, Dr. Faustus looked at her once again and whispered, "Here I am, looking once again upon the face that doomed 1,000 lives. Yet I do not blame her. I blame the hearts that forgot wisdom in their desire." Inside Troy, darkness grew. Tears and ash stained the palace walls. King Priam stood broken, his sons gone. Helen, once a symbol of light, now a silent portrait of sorrow. And then came the night. When everyone slept, the Greek soldiers hidden inside a wooden horse emerged. They opened the gates. What followed was devastation. Flames engulfed Troy. Screams of children, cries of women, prayers of the old, all turned to ash. And Helen? She wondered, was it truly because of me? Can one woman's smile cause this much destruction? Or was this always about pride, ego, and power? Menelaus fought his way through the burning palace. Room by room he searched until he found her. There she stood, hair disheveled, face stained with ash, no sparkle in her eyes, just.
Menelaus paused, his sword in hand, anger in his heart, questions in his eyes, but his tongue silent. He stared at her and slowly whispered to himself, "Is this the face for which thousands died? Have I fought all these years for this?" Helen said nothing. She lowered her eyes. No apology, no justification, only silence. Moments passed, and Menelaus lowered his sword. Perhaps he realized, wars don't just scar bodies, they wound souls. They say the story ended that night, but its consequences live on. Even today, somewhere in a book, someone reads that same question. Was this the face that launched 1,000 ships? And the heart whispers, it wasn't the face. It wasn't the city. It was the pride, the ego, and the hunger for power that were the real culprits.